Welcome, listeners, to another My Mind MashUps deep dive where we try to unravel mysteries, spark curiosity, and really make sense of complex ideas together. Today, we're diving into something you see, well, everywhere online, it seems. The Sigma male. It's this identity that's kind of exploded, promising, ultimate self-mastery, total independence, and it's often visualized through that cool, solitary, anti-hero type.
Right, the archetype.
Exactly, the tropes, the detached genius, the guy playing by his own rules, totally outside the normal social game. Think John Wick's intensity, maybe Batman's complexity.
Or even Thomas Shelby from Peaky Blinders, that kind of calculated detachment.
Yeah, or sometimes even, disturbingly, Patrick Bateman. It's this figure that really resonates, but you have to ask, what is a Sigma male, actually? Is it a real psychological thing, or more like a really catchy internet meme?
A very powerful meme, amplified by algorithms.
So our mission today is to unpack the source material you shared with us. We're going to try and separate let's call it the internet myth of the lone wolf from the actual psychological substance, what real independence looks like according to research.
And understand why this specific idea is so compelling right now. That's key.
Definitely. And hey, as always, if you enjoy content that gets you thinking, maybe challenges some assumptions, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us out. Okay, so let's dig into where this all started. This whole alpha, beta, sigma thing, it sounds almost biological, but the term sigma itself, that's pretty new, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's not from some long-standing scientific tradition. Tracing its origins is, well, revealing. The term Sigma male popped up around 2010. It was actually proposed by a blogger, Voxday, as part of his own sort of sociosexual hierarchy.
Right, so it wasn't even an original framework. It was tacked onto that existing alpha-beta idea, which is already, let's be honest, pretty controversial.
Exactly, it was an add-on. The Sigma was framed as, like, the outsider, equal to the alpha in status, supposedly, but operating completely outside the social games. He's the lone wolf who doesn't play the social game and manages to win at it anyway.
Designed to appeal to guys who maybe don't feel like they fit into those traditional boxes.
Precisely. And the sources we looked at are really clear on this. This whole system, alpha, beta, sigma, it grew out of manosphere forms and pickup artist culture.
Okay, that context is crucial.
It really is, because from the very beginning, it often came packaged with some, frankly, misogynistic undertones. It's kind of defined against something rather than standing on its own merit.
So it bubbled away in these corners of the internet for about a decade.
Pretty much, yeah. Relatively niche. But then, bam. Around 2021, something shifted. The research shows it just exploded virally. Suddenly, Sigma was everywhere. Memes, viral tweets, TikToks, YouTube clips, often paired with those intense movie scenes we mentioned.
Right, using characters like Wick or Bateman to illustrate it.
Yeah, turning it from a fringe idea into this widespread digital identity people could adopt.
And that viral leap is really important because it took it out of context, in a way.
And here's the fundamental problem, the point that psychologists and sociologists keep making. These categories, alpha, beta, sigma, omega, whatever, they're widely seen as pseudoscience. There's just no solid empirical evidence for them in actual behavioral research.
So we're dealing less with science, more with a kind of cultural myth.
A very potent one.
Right.
And understanding that helps us ask the why. Why this myth now?
Okay, so if those labels are pseudoscience, let's talk real personality science. When researchers study things like independence or liking solitude, what models do they use?
Well, the main framework, the one with the most evidence behind it, is the Big Five model. It's really the cornerstone of modern personality psychology.
Right, the OCEAN acronym. Openness, conscientiousness.
Exactly. Extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. These 5 broad dimensions give us a much more nuanced way to understand personality.
So how does the Big Five relate to that lone wolf image? Does someone who seems like a Sigma just score differently on these traits?
Pretty much, yeah. The Big Five offers the nuance that the Sigma label completely flattens. For instance, someone who fits that lone wolf aesthetic might score low on extroversion. They're introverted. But they might also be high on conscientiousness, meaning they're disciplined, and maybe high on openness, meaning they're independent thinkers.
Ah, so it's a combination of established traits, not some unique 6th category.
Precisely. The Sigma label just lumps these complex, interacting variables into one simple and frankly misleading title.
That makes way more sense than trying to shoehorn it into other pop psych things. You see people saying, oh, I'm an INTJ, so I'm a Sigma.
Right, and that's usually a misunderstanding. While certain MBTI types like INTJ or ISTP might lean towards introversion or analytical thinking. The MBTI itself doesn't map neatly onto the big 5 dimensions.
So using your MBTI type to claim Sigma status is shaky at best.
Very shaky. The big 5 traits are much more reliable and predictive for understanding actual behavior and preferences. The MBTI justification is really quite misguided in this context.
Okay, so moving from traits to well-being. This is where it gets really interesting. The Sigma fantasy is all about total independence, right? But true psychological health seems to need more.
Absolutely. This brings us to self-determination theory, or SDT. It's a major theory of human motivation and well-being, and it's super clear on this.
Okay.
SDT says that for sustained motivation, for genuine mental health, we all need 3 basic psychological needs met. These are innate, universal.
And those are?
Autonomy, competence, and relatedness.
Okay, autonomy, feeling in control of your life. That definitely fits the Sigma appeal. Competence, feeling effective, disciplined, also fits. But relatedness, that's connection, right? Feeling close to others.
Exactly. And that's the piece the whole lone wolf Sigma identity actively pushes away, or at least pretends to.
So it's like trying to stand on a stool with only 2 legs. Autonomy and competence are there, but without relatedness.
The whole thing becomes unstable. That's the core danger SDT highlights. If you pour everything into being independent and skilled, but you neglect or actively reject your need for connection, your motivation eventually falters and your mental health likely declines.
So that chosen isolation isn't actually a strength, it's a deficit.
In the long run, yes. Now, that doesn't mean all solitude is bad, obviously.
Right.
Research on solitude makes a distinction. Healthy solitude is usually self-determined. You choose to withdraw for a specific reason, to think, create, recharge. That can lead to creativity, relaxation.
But the kind of chronic performed detachment the Sigma persona often emphasizes.
That's different. That enforced or chosen isolation, when it becomes a lifestyle rejecting connection, consistently correlates with higher loneliness, more anxiety, lower life satisfaction. It's not sustainable well-being.
It almost sounds like it's borrowing from older ideas like archetypes, but maybe missing the point.
That's a really sharp insight. You could look at it through a Jungian lens.
Yeah.
The outsider, the loner, these are powerful, universal archetypes. They represent a necessary stage sometimes, maybe for self-discovery.
Right.
But the modern Sigma narrative often seems to grab the aesthetic of the outsider, the cool detachment, but completely ignores the part where, in Jung's view, true integration usually involves returning to the community, finding a balance between self and others. It's like embracing the exile without the eventual homecoming.
An incomplete journey.
Okay, wow. And if this is resonating with you listening, definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next deep dive, because this really begs the question, why? Why is this specific isolated archetype so popular right now?
Yeah, we have to look at the bigger picture, the sociocultural context. There's compelling evidence suggesting we're facing a kind of crisis of connection, particularly for men in many Western societies.
A crisis of connection? How so? Well, developmental psychologists like Niobe Way, her research is fascinating. She found that young boys often do start out wanting and having really intimate, emotionally expressive friendships.
Okay, so what happens?
Societal pressure happens. As they get older, the messages change. Manhood gets rigidly defined by stoicism, self-sufficiency, toughness, emotional expression, vulnerability that gets coded as weakness.
So they learn to suppress that natural need for closeness.
Exactly. They learn to equate vulnerability with failure, basically.
Yeah.
And they start performing this kind of stoic independence, even if it doesn't feel right internally.
That sounds incredibly damaging, like a recipe for loneliness.
It is. And the data backs this up. The sources we reviewed connect this suppression, this crisis of connection, directly to higher rates of loneliness, anxiety, depression, and tragically high suicide rates among men. Our culture often rewards ambition and stoicism over sensitivity and connection, and men pay a heavy price.
They're discouraged from seeking the very thing, relatedness, that SDT says they need for well-being.
Precisely. And then you throw social media into this mix.
Oh boy. Yeah, platforms like TikTok, YouTube.
Yeah.
They haven't just hosted Sigma content, they seem to have poured gasoline on it.
Absolutely supercharged it. The research we looked at analyzed this content. It consistently portrays Sigma masculinity as, yes, ambitious and disciplined, but also deeply self-centered, emotionally detached, and often carrying this undercurrent of cynicism, particularly towards women in relationships.
And the way it's presented, the aesthetic is crucial, isn't it?
Totally. Analysts point to specific patterns.
Yeah.
These rapid-fire montages of like gym workouts or luxury goods set to that aggressive funk music beat, and constantly using clips of anti-heroes or even outright villains. When Patrick Bateman from American Psycho becomes an unironic icon for detachment and success, well, that tells you something pretty disturbing about the message being absorbed.
It romanticizes a very dark kind of isolation. And it often frames men as victims, right? Like, they need to adopt this stance to survive against what the female dominance, societal unfairness.
Exactly. It taps into resentment and reinforces gendered misinformation. And the algorithms, they love this stuff.
Because it's emotionally charged.
Highly charged. Outrage, strong opinions, aspirational fantasies that drives engagement. So influencer buzzwords like the Sigma male mindset, which often align with misogynistic ideas from the manosphere, get amplified like crazy. The platforms inadvertently funnel people towards this worldview.
So this whole hierarchy, alpha, beta, sigma, it offers a tempting story, a sense of being special, the outsider who wins, but it's built on sand.
It's a very slick package. It offers a ready-made identity, a feeling of superiority, but often it seems to be masking insecurity, deep loneliness, maybe social anxiety. And ultimately, as many critics point out, it can be a gateway into genuinely toxic forms of masculinity.
Okay, so if the lone wolf thing is ultimately a dead end leading to isolation, what's the alternative? What does a healthy, strong masculinity actually look like? One that fosters well-being?
Well, the counter-narrative shifts the focus entirely, away from external dominance and towards integration, self-respect, and connection. The research is pretty consistent. Men who chase status and dominance above all else often end up feeling quite isolated and unhappy down the line.
So we need better definitions. The sources mentioned counselors, Kazelika and Engler-Carlson. They propose alternatives.
Yes, their work is about redefining masculinity, moving away from that dominant, detached ideal. Their model emphasizes things like emotional awareness, actually understanding your own feelings, genuine relational depth, responsible leadership, and crucially, self-respect that isn't dependent on putting others down.
Being a man of character, not just status.
Exactly. And it's about integrating strengths, the discipline, the ambition, the self-control that the Sigma ideal finds appealing. Those can be positive traits.
But they need to be balanced.
Balanced with empathy, with connection, with maybe a sense of service or contribution beyond just the self.
It also means rethinking stoicism, doesn't it?
Hugely important. Healthy stoicism, enduring hardship with grace, being resilient, that's admirable. But the version where stoicism means suppressing all emotion, seeing any vulnerability as weakness, that's the problem. That disconnects men from their needs and can lead to unprocessed anger or sadness.
So real strength is balancing emotional control, not being overwhelmed with the ability to express emotions safely and appropriately.
That's the synthesis, yeah. Preventing that internalized stuff from becoming corrosive.
Which brings us back. We started with this popular internet idea, alpha, beta, sigma, with sigma as the ultimate lone wolf.
Right, but the psychological reality, grounded in theories like SDT, tells a different story. True, sustainable well-being needs autonomy, yes, but also competence and relatedness. The strength the Sigma claims independence is only truly healthy and sustainable when it's integrated with connection, not defined by its absence.
Wow. Okay, that brings us to the end of this really eye-opening deep dive. We've sort of traced the Sigma male from this obscure blog post to this massive cultural meme.
Recognizing it less as a factual category and more as a symptom, maybe, of cultural anxieties around masculinity, connection, all amplified by how platforms work.
Yeah. And the takeaway seems clear. The appealing parts of the Sigma idea, the discipline, the self-mastery, they can exist alongside emotional intelligence and real relationships. In fact, they probably need to for genuine, long-term well-being. Isolation isn't the prize.
Connection is key.
Connection is key. And remember, every deep dive here is about sparking curiosity, challenging those assumptions we all hold, and hopefully expanding our understanding together.
We really hope we've given you some food for thought on what real strength looks like. And hey, like, comment, and subscribe to hear more My Mind MashUps deep dives.
Yeah, please do.
And definitely drop your thoughts in the comments. We actually read them, and your perspective could genuinely shape what we dive into next.
Absolutely. You can find My Mind MashUps everywhere you listen. Amazon Music, Audible, Facebook, Pocket Casts, Spotify, TikTok, and YouTube. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone. See you next time.